Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock their potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, I have another amazing guest. This is somebody I've met at conferences, on virtual conferences, on webinars, and all that kind of stuff. Every time I see him, he's always connecting with people, moving and shaking and doing a whole bunch of great stuff. And on social media, I see him very, very busy as well, being involved with real estate and connecting with people, building relationships. So I couldn't wait to have him here today. He's been in the agricultural business management industry for a while and also has 15 plus years in nursery and landscaping industry. And now he's in real estate investing and also in renovations. And some of those renovations that he and his wife does are absolutely amazing. Luxury homes, multi-million-dollar properties have been transformed to make you feel amazing. So please welcome Senior Managing Partner of Crescent Investment Group, global real estate investor, Matthew Everett.
Hi, Fong. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. And it's always a pleasure talking to people who's in real estate because they have all these great ideas and you're one of those people that's really into it right now. But before we get into that, I know you didn't start completely in real estate. Give us a quick rundown of where you were and what you're most passionate about right now.
Yeah, so actually I started off in at an early age, starting with a lawn mowing business. And so me and one of my good friends started that and got to interact with people. And that was kind of my first introduction into business, is dealing with people and getting paid and doing work and stuff like that. And then, so that kind of led me into one of the local nurseries in our town. I started working at in high school as well, and just fell in love with the outdoors, the growing, being able to, it's one of those things when people come in, it makes them happy. Right. And so everybody you talk to is in a good mood, they're happy. And so that's what really drew me to the nursery industry. And so I decided to go to school and go get my bachelor's in agricultural business and horticulture, and then actually returned back to that same nursery and eventually ran the whole thing. So and so now transitioning from that into real estate, you know my wife Siobhan, and she is a interior designer here in the area, and so with her passion on the interiors and the architecture, and me being able to bring in the exterior and the landscaping and all the features of that, it just was a really good match for us, and has made it where we're able to work together in business and really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. That is absolutely a perfect match.
Absolutely.
Do the two of you kind of go, you stay inside, I'll take care of the outside, don't you come out here?
Pretty much. I mean, we step on each other's toes every once in a while, but we pretty much stay in our swim lanes now and kind of know what our strengths are and how we can work together to make a, really a good product for the end user.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've been in the landscaping industry for a long time now. What are some of the things that people don't realize are part of landscaping, or some of the myths that people kind of stereotype landscapers as?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those trades, right, that, most people did start out just mowing a yard or whatever, and then they evolved into a landscaper, and most of them are not good at business, I'll be honest with you, because they didn't have schooling on business and things like that. So they just kind of fell into it, right? And so that's a lot of the downfall that you see with a lot of those type trades is money management, time management, a lot of things like that. But so many people that start out like that become amazing at it. And so you get to meet a lot of different people. Obviously, there's thousands of landscapers in every metropolitan area around the world, right? And so you get to take a little bit from each of them and see their strengths and weaknesses and things like that. But, I think that again, it's the outdoors. People like to be outside, people like flowers, people like to see pretty things. And so you're dealing with a lot of people, and what you do, again, makes them happy and they enjoy the work that you do.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips for people who do not enjoy dealing with the lawn and the exterior appeal and stuff like that. They just want to do maybe once or do something very simple and maintain it very simply that you can share
Yeah.
with us.
So here in Texas, it's really just like business, right? You got to start with a foundation. So it all begins with your prep work, your soils, your irrigation. So water and soil, if you get all that correct and you do that first, you lay that base, you can pretty much plant whatever you want and it's going to be great, right? But if you just go in and you start throwing things into existing soil that's clay or rock or whatever, you're going to struggle throughout your whole process. You're kind of just throwing money down the drain, and then you're going to feel like, hey, I don't have a green thumb, but you actually just didn't do the prep work that needed to be done up front.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Now, share with us that transition between working just as a landscaper into investing in real estate.
So, like I said, I kind of worked my way up in the nursery business and had around 100 employees and 50 greenhouses that, it's a very seasonal business too. So you're running $5 or $6, $7 million in 5 months, but the rest of the time is all prep and preparation for that peak time. And so it's a very stressful industry and things like that. But, you get to a point where sometimes in business, maybe I wasn't thinking long term, right? Maybe I was just thinking when I started into this is really what I enjoy. But long term, is it going to get me to where I want to be? And so, once you reach the top of a company or you get to a point where the decision is I can either expand and take on all this extra labor and do all this stuff, or I can exit and then go into another part of what I'm passionate about too, and still help people and put out a good product, and then also be able to work, with my spouse.
Mm-hmm. Now, with regards to looking at real estate, you're not just looking at like the luxury homes for investing, but you're also looking at multifamily, you're looking at smaller single family homes and whatnot. Do you have a specific formula or a specific type of stuff that you really, really specialize in?
Well, I mean, everybody that's in real estate right now knows how hot it is, and it's kind of hard to fail at this point. I think we're starting to see some transitions in the market. We're starting to see interest rates go up. We're starting to see a little bit of volatility. So I think everybody in real estate needs to pivot at certain times, right? I mean, so where is the opportunity? Is it in single family? Is it in multifamily? Where are the deals, right? Is it commercial? So I think for us, we specialize in higher end residential at the moment, just because that's where our niche is. But we're also pivoting, and we really want to start more on the development side and be able to bring some higher end features and architecture to the masses, right? So be able to do, some of this that maybe the 2 million plus or the $1.5 million homes, whatever, have these features, but the people buying $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes don't get that, right? They just get the basic cookie cutter box that they're going to live in. And so having a balance there, that's really where our vision is trying to combine the two to allow some of the other, a more subset of people to be able to enjoy some of that luxury stuff. Maybe it's not a 10,000 square foot home. Maybe it's only a 3,000 square foot home, but it still has those type of features.
Mm-hmm. Now, it sounds like every step of the way that you've been traveling right now is not usually the smooth path that people kind of choose, right? But first of all, you're in lawn mowing, and then from there you grew into taking courses, and then became your own business owner in landscaping, and then from there to real estate. And not just real estate, you guys are really, really good at luxury homes, which is another niche that is fairly difficult for some new investors. So throughout that path, every single part of the way, people may or may not be there to say, you know what, this is too hard. Don't jump into that yet, or don't jump into business yourself, or don't jump into real estate. What was your guiding light to allow you to overcome those naysayers?
I think it just boils down to, you got to do one step. You got to do one thing, the first thing, right? right? I mean, a lot of us sit back and we're idea people. So we're like, oh, that would be a great idea. I could do this, I could do that. So we sit there and think about it. It's analysis by paralysis, but we don't do any action. So I think finding that first deal, if that's what you want to do, and is start in real estate or whatever, but you really have to focus on one thing. You have to get that laser focus. Don't be spread everywhere. Focus on one thing, get that first house. You're going to learn so much from one, right? So you're going to learn all kinds of stuff, but you have to do it. You actually have to do it to be able to get that experience. And I think a lot of people go, I can't get the money, I can't do this, I can't do that, right? But if you get a good deal, the money will follow, the subcontractors will follow. I mean, it all just falls into place. So it really just starts with one thing, get the deal, and then see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned there about laser focus, and having that focus allows you to keep on moving forward. How do you get that laser focus? Do you do certain things to trick your mind or to give yourself some accountability to make sure that you're focused?
I'm going to be honest. I was thinking about it today. I'm a little bit spread over 3 companies right now. And, you get to a point where it's just like, and we talked about this in a mastermind we had this past weekend too, is are you making choices or are you making sacrifices, right? And every choice or decision that you make, for one thing, may pull you away from something else, whether it be business, family, health, whatever those are. You have to make the choice whenever you're going into these things that this is really what I want. So you need to have that big view at first and say, this is the outlook. These are the things I want to focus on and what's going to get me to that point. But I think a lot of us get caught up. And I know for me, for example, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in a 9-to-5 job or your everyday routine and not think about, you kind of conform to what the world has put you in, right? Just because you need to make a paycheck or whatever and that's great, right? If that's what you choose, but you have to stay laser focused on the big picture or you'll just be spread everywhere. And then you really get nowhere at that point. I mean, and it's the same with relationships, right? I mean, you can have 1,000 acquaintances, but I'd rather have 20 good friends that you really built those relationships, deeper relationships, right? So it's the same kind of concept.
Well, something I've noticed a lot between you and Siobhan is your ability to build good relationships. What are some of the keys that you keep in mind when it comes to relationship building?
You have to give value, right? I mean, you have to bring value to people. This goes back to business, personal, whatever it may be, but real estate is a good example because that's what I do a lot of is we work with a lot of realtors and we work with all these different people, right? None of us are going to get rich off of one deal. None of us are going to, make wealth off of one deal. This is a long-term play. And we want to do 100 deals with the same person, right? And we want loyalty and we want, all that, but you have to build those relationships and you have to not just take, right? Take. You have to be able to give back and really it's a lot of it is good business. So do what you say you're going to do and follow through with stuff and stay in touch with people. I mean, an email, a text message, every once in a while, and tell people what they do. This is a big thing. Tell people what they do good and what you like about how they do business, because nobody does that. People call you when they need something, want something, something's wrong, right? Yep. But people don't really call people when just out of the blue and say, I really appreciate you. You really make this easy for me, or, you've been there for me, right? And nobody does it. And so if you actually will incorporate that or put it on your schedule where you do maybe one a week or something like that, it'll go a long way. And people, really appreciate those kind of gestures.
Awesome. Now, sticking with the relationships, and we kind of talked about this at the very beginning, you work hand in hand with Siobhan, and I was very lucky to have her on my show a few weeks ago as well. How do you make sure that the relationship at home is still strong when you have a strong relationship at work?
Ooh, that's a tough question. definitely challenging, man. I mean, I think, Siobhan and I have been together now almost 15 years. So I think we have a lot of our quirks worked out. But there's still times where, you look at each other and you're just like, oh my gosh, you're killing me. But, I think you have to have fun with it is number one. You really have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to have fun in your daily activities, and you have to plan things. Like for us, we have to plan a date night out a week. We have to plan, you put these things in your schedule so you do them. If you don't do that, then you'll never do the stuff. Everybody's busy, right? I mean, you'll just keep being busy. And you say, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, but you have to put it in your schedule and make a point.
Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a scenario where she walks in all frustrated that, man, that landscaper? Not naming any names, but that landscaper.
Yeah, there's plenty of times, Fong, that's for sure. There's plenty of times, but at the end of the day, you have to support each other. And there may be days where, I can tell she's frustrated and I'm just like, let me handle it. Tag, you go to the spa, right? Or you go relax, do whatever you need to do. I got this, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, you're a team, whether it's in business or both, personal and business. And, you both affect each other either positively or negatively. And communication is huge, right? I mean, communication is I would say the key of everything. If you're not talking about stuff and you're just burying things deep down, it's not going to be good one day.
Now, you've been involved with this industry for a long time. The two of you have done some amazing work. Is there a specific deal or a specific fire that you had to put out that is challenging, that you've overcome, like some kind of story that you could share?
Oh, what do we got? So I don't know necessarily a particular deal. It's mainly people, and it's mainly subcontractors. A lot of what we do is dealing with subcontractors, and that's where most of the pain points are. I'm going to be honest with you. So you have to be able, there may be a nationality thing, maybe they're Hispanic, maybe whatever it is, and they don't respond to Siobhan well. And she's like, I'm not getting the responses that I need to get. They're not doing, and so then I have to step in, or it may be vice versa, because a woman's touch with a lot of men in construction, depending upon who it is, she's going to get better results than me. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of those issues come with people. And I think the more that you and your spouse or whomever know your abilities, and I mean, you can tell pretty quick when you have a contractor that is either giving pushback right to her or whatever, maybe they don't, whatever it may be. But I think that's our biggest challenge. And that's really where we've tried to get better and just say, hey, these guys are you, these guys are me, and we'll divide them up and we'll conquer, right? But I think, if you've been in business very long, all of us have been screwed over at some point. We've all got money taken from us. We've all, there's all those stories. But I think at the end of the day, what we like the most about the real estate is that we have such great relationships with our contractors. Now we've built such great teams that, we're providing for them and their families, and they see that and they respect that too. And they work even harder, right? So it's a mutual relationship, and, we get a lot of joy out of that.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, lots of people want to mitigate any of those issues that might come in when you're looking for a contractor. And there's a lot of contractors out there, right? Whether they're approved or not approved, they're well-known or not well-known, there's a lot of them out there. So how does one actually go out and find the right fit?
Another hard question.
Like, do you have like a checklist of stuff that you want to make sure they
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you have all that, and you can do all these, and I'll talk about it, but where we get hurt the worst in business is the people that we least expect. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been true for us, and I'm sure for many others. You may have done 10 houses with the guy and you trust him completely. Well, on this one, something happened.
Yep.
Right. But I would say, back to your question is get a lot of bids, at least 3. Yeah, because everybody at some point is going to be hungrier than someone else. Okay. So this month, this guy may need the work more than this other guy. So what's he going to do? He's going to work with you better on price, and he's also going to be there and be available and not be spread too thin. And you just need to be honest with people and ask them. I mean, Siobhan and I do a lot of scheduling and planning, and that's a huge back end to this game is time is money. And so if your guys are not performing, if you have one contractor that doesn't perform, it's like a domino effect. So then it trickles into this guy and this guy's timeline and this guy's timeline. So then it just pushes your whole project. And that can happen very rapidly. Mm-hmm. So like I said, there's documents you can put in place. There's protocols to put in place. But even with that, things always happen. So you should be ready for it. But just get multiple bids and make people do what they tell you they're going to do.
One way I found that helps a lot is to maintain a good mindset. When things do come in, you're able to react fast. You're able to find the right resources to help you mitigate those issues or to solve those problems. What do you do to keep that mindset up and to keep your mind reacting fast to potential issues?
You plan ahead. That's number one. That is number one. I mean, if we get a property under contract, Siobhan and I will typically have the whole plan, schedule. Heck, we may even be ordering stuff already before we even close. Mm-hmm. So having all that prep work allows you to hit the ground running once you do close on the property. If you wait until you own the property to do all that, you're killing a lot of your time, a lot. And then you're also rushing your contractors, right? So the more times that you can give these guys, you can say, hey, this is a 60-day project or 90-day project, and I need you to start here. And the more clarity and time that you can give these guys in advance, the better off you're going to be.
So how do you mitigate that risk of ordering stuff prior to being closed? Because there is a potential that it doesn't close.
There's always a potential for everything,
well, yeah.
But I think that don't get too crazy, right? But in the real estate world right now, there's a lot of things that are taking a lot longer to get, typical, because of supply chain stuff that we're all feeling. But there may be windows that are 6 months out, right? If I don't get those windows ordered, your project's not going to hit the timeline, right? And we have investors and things that that putting their money into our projects, and we have to look after those timelines and their money, like it's actually better than our money, right? So it's we have to give clarity to not only the contractors but to our investors on the expectations of the project. And there's things, like I said, like windows or whatever it may be. For example, if that one thing is going to push your whole timeline, I'll take the risk. Mm-hmm. I'll order them. And then, hey, if I got to go sell them on eBay later, then but typically that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. I know that you also surround yourself with some amazing people, coaches, mentors, people who are able to help you mitigate some of those risks. What would you say is one of the biggest advice or biggest life-changing thing that you've gotten from your coaches?
I think that mindset's one of them. Having the mindset of the end game and thinking about strategy from different angles has given me a whole new perspective. A lot of what I do is negotiation, right? So a lot of what I do is negotiating prices and properties and dealing with people too. But you have to have that whole scenario played out before you even start. So I already know where I want to end. I just have to get the people there, right? And so what's the process that I can do to get them there to where I need to be? Mm-hmm. So I think, coaching gives whole new perspectives. I mean, for me personally, I get to see things from a lot of different people's angles that I would have never seen on my own. And it brings a lot of new things to light that I would have never thought about personally. And so not only that, but having the support and knowing that you got people that have your back and that you can pick up the phone and call if, one of these issues happens and you can bounce ideas off of is huge. That it just, like I said, having that different perspective on people that have done it before can really take a lot of that fear factor away.
Mm-hmm. You talked about negotiating, and that's something that you do on a day in, day out basis. I know a lot of people don't like negotiating. In fact, they were shocked that the very first time they had to negotiate was when buying a car. It's like, what? You have to negotiate? Oh man, don't know how to do that. So what would you say is some of the most important things that a person needs to remember when it comes to negotiating?
I think that really looking at the other person's side is huge, because a lot of times, especially when I first started out, I would say, okay, well, this is, I need this, I need this, I need this, but I wasn't really looking at their side. What do they need? And that's what you really have to do with negotiations. You have to talk to people and find out what they want, what they need, what their expectations are. And is that going to align, or can you make it align with what you're trying to do? Right. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work. Actually, most of the time it doesn't work. I'm going to be honest. You may get 1 out of 100, right? Or whatever that scenario is. But I think that really talking to people will stand you out and stand you apart if you do what you say you're going to do and you're upfront and honest. And you do good business, and people are going to want, for example, I had on a deal, I had a contract on this house for 1.6 million, and came back and we found some things. And I said, hey, all the windows need replaced after we did our due diligence. And I said, it's going to be about $100,000. And so we're going to need to buy the property for 1.5. And the guy said, I just can't do it. I said, I completely understand. I really appreciate you. Let us know if something changed. So a month later, I get a phone call. Hey, are you still interested in doing the 1.5? And, then my negotiation, my toughness starts coming in, and I'm like, well, that offer was then. It's, now it's 1.4. And he's, oh man, I can't do that. I can't do that. So okay, well, let me know if it changes. And so, they get things under contract and they fall back out again. So he calls me and says, is that 1.4 on the table still? Man, that was then. I said, I could do 1.325. And that's what I got it under contract for. He did it immediately that time. But sometimes you just have to be patient with people, and they beat themselves up. So sometimes you're not even doing the work, they're doing it all to themselves, right? And so negotiation is just, sometimes it's timing.
Mm-hmm. Do you, on average, hope that they agree right off the bat, or do you hope that they don't?
I guess it depends on the deal, Fong. It depends on the deal. But, typically due diligence is everything, right? With whether it's business or real estate or whatever it is. I mean, that's really where I don't really care what I get it under contract for, because I'll find out what I need it to be once I do my due diligence.
Right.
So
there's always a time where you can go back and negotiate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, people talk about double and triple negotiation, things like that. And typically I try not to do too much of it, but if you go into a 20 or 30-year-old house, you're always going to be able to find things that are wrong, and so, but at the end of the day, it needs to be fair enough for both people, where, maybe you're both not happy, and that's a great negotiation, right? When you leave the table and you're both unhappy, but you did the deal, that, you gave enough, they gave enough, and you guys made it work together. So
Yeah. Cool. Now, let's just imagine you just won, or you just negotiated something amazing, or you closed a great deal, or a property just got renovated, it's done, it's ready for sale, and you sell it. How does Matt and Siobhan celebrate?
ooh, might be a high five.
That's it.
I mean, it's
high five. On to the next one.
Yeah, I'm already looking for the next 2 or 3. You know, I mean, there is times where you have to just take a day, right? Or you take an afternoon and go have, I mean, whatever you want to do. You go have dinner, you go do a walk, you go do something, and you say, you know, oh, this was wonderful. But what we really do now is you have to drill down and find out, what could I have done better? This really worked out well, but those little details at this point, did I negotiate this right? Did I do something, you know, incorrectly that I could have done better? And it's going to make you better for the next deal. So really reflecting back on the whole project, and her and I sitting down and conversing and going, it's never perfect, right? Never perfect. There's always things, but there's always ways that you can improve. And I think that, you know, that's in life too, right? The little details. If you decide, hey, I want to, you know, one of mine now is learn more about cryptocurrency, right? So now I'm reading articles every day about cryptocurrency, just to develop that. And over time, that compounds into a wealth of knowledge on a subject or whatever it may be. But those little details, if you will continue to do them, do compound over time.
My final formal question for you is, you're on the world stage. You have a few moments now to share a message. What's that one message you want the entire world to remember Matthew for?
I think that, you know, for us, doing business ethically, correctly, and building relationships with people over time, and that we added value to their lives. Mm-hmm. Whether it be with a building that we renovated, a home that we built, or maybe, you know, I helped them in their business, or I helped them in their life or nonprofit, or, you know, whatever it may be, but really adding value to people.
Awesome. Always good words to live by when you're adding value to people, right? Final 5 quick questions before I let you go, rapid fire. Let me hear the first thing that comes to mind. You're stuck on a deserted island, and you have one food that you could eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. What would that be?
Lobster.
Good choice. You're stuck on a road trip, and there's one song that's playing over and over and over again. What's that one song that you would not get annoyed of?
Ooh. How about Leonard Skinner's Simple Man?
Nicely done. You have a hidden talent that not many people know about.
A hidden talent. I don't know if I call it a talent, but I'm very good at fishing.
Well, anything that you're good at is a talent. And then also, let's say one person that you would love to work on a project on.
One person that what? Sorry.
That you would like to work on a project on.
One person. You stumped me, Fong.
It doesn't even have to be a real estate project. It could be an event project. It could be a speaking project, anything.
I'm going to say, just because I read his book recently, I'll say Frank McKinney.
Awesome. Frank McKinney shows up at your door and says, hey, let's get something going. But first, I'm hungry. What's that special dish you could cook for him?
Frank McKinney? Oh, I definitely can do. I'm good at grilling, so it's going to be a steak for sure.
Nicely done. Probably a good choice too. And then lastly, give me a number between 1 to 3, or from 1 to 3.
How about 2?
1, 2. So how is success similar to a scroll?
How is success similar to a scroll? I think that's interesting. I think that it takes time, right? I mean, to write a scroll, it's long. It's going to be a journey. I think success is the same way. It's a long journey of ups and downs and everything like that. So that's what I'd say.
Nicely done. So that's how success is like a scroll. Well, first of all, thank you very much for your time. It was a lot of fun getting to know you, and also getting to know exactly what you work on and what kind of stuff that you add value to people for. If there's anything that people wants to reach out for you for, what's the best way?
Yeah, they can just email me. It's matt@thecrescentinvestmentgroup.com.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And for everybody out there, make sure you find their Instagram. They have a lot of great photos there of the before and after the renovations. And after you see those renovations, you're like, you know what, these Matt and Siobhan are the guys to go to because they know what they're doing. So great stuff there. Thank you very much for your time. And then also for everybody out there, he is Matt. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll all see you later.
Thank you, Tom.